Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what we're going to do is we're going to explore the React router. The React router is an external library to React, so it's not something that's part of the core sort of React package. So we are going to have to install something else, so let's create a new terminal. And let me just get to that. So cd react cd react cd react typos cd tutorial 2, and there we are. So the first thing we need to do is install React into our npm dependencies. So you're going to use the command paste npm install react router dom. So react dash router dash dom. This is going to be the library that we're going to pull the React router from so we can route. So let's install that. And essentially what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking mainly at ambody. Because currently what ambody does is that the way I made it kind of route without the router is that I made buttons that basically triggered a function that essentially toggled this between these three components: main page, blog page, whatnot. But what I'm going to want to do is refactor that using the React router, so that way the buttons actually act like URL links, and you can actually, it'll see like the URL change in the browser bar. Because that's essentially what the router does. It allows, what's something sort of new in browsers is that you can change what's in and pull what's inside the URL bar and run with that and prevent the page from re-rendering. You're just basically using that as another variable to kind of pick up on state changes and component changes and stuff like that. But it makes the user experience for the user a little bit more familiar, because you're seeing those URL changes versus clicking buttons and booleans turning components on and off, but the URL never changes. So let's see here. So we installed that, and now we need to bring some stuff in. So we're going to be doing it in the since this is all going to be in the ambody component, I'm going to import it there. So this is going to be what you want to import. So you want to do import. We're going to import the route function because we're going to be doing individual routes. Link, because we need to be able to create links to those routes, and then the browser router, okay, which is going to allow us to define our router. But we're going to change it, not call it browser router, we're going to just change it to router, so we don't have to worry about typing the extra letters. Okay, and that's the thing you can do when you import something. You can be like this as this, and then change the name of it. Save. Okay, and finish downloading. So we got the router in there. Let's talk about how we're going to set that in there. Okay, so let's go to where our switch is, right here. So we're going to change this. Actually, I'll put it right above it for now so that we can copy some stuff from it. But it's going to become, we're going to wrap it in a router tag. This basically says this is where, in this section is where a component will show up based on which route has been triggered. And it's going to be in this section of the website. So you want to kind of put it wherever this is going to show up. Now, again, I stored this in this page nav variable, and that's where I wanted to show up. So I'm going to put it there. And then each individual link is going to be called a route. Actually, I don't necessarily want it there. Let me think about where we put that page nav variable. So what I'm going to do, because basically, yes, we want, the way we did it was with these booleans. So basically what I want to do is change screw render target. We're not going to need that. So we can get rid of all this. So I'm just going to comment it out for now. And I want to comment this out for now. We're going to do this differently. Okay, and then we're just going to basically create a whole block of JSX over here. That's the way it will work. And then we'll bring in those buttons. So first thing I'm going to do is bring in my, I should wrap this in a div. So that way I can, okay. Let me just put that another line just for the sake of it looking pretty. And then we'll wrap this in wrap this middle part in router tags. Okay, and then here we're gonna have 3 routes. Okay, Control Z, slash this. Okay. Okay, so essentially what's saying is that in this area, what component will show will be based on the route. Okay, so we're going to change this a little bit. So this is going to be main page, because that's what we want showing with the root route. Then we're going to have a route called blog and a route called contact. And then this one will show blog page. Because these have both been imported in at the top. Now again, contact, if you remember from before, we actually brought that in as a prop. So I have to do this dot props dot contact page is what that'll render there. Okay, but essentially this area of the page here will render whatever one has been triggered. And then below that I want my buttons. So I'm going to go back and uncomment out this section here. Make a copy of it, comment it back out. And that's why I wanted to wrap it in div tags. So that way I can just put it all there and I don't have to worry about making an array. Cool. So that's that. But now I need to change all these to hrefs. So basically I got to change how this is going to end up working to wrap it in a tags. So this will be a href equals, in this case, will just be the root slash. Okay, take the closing tag out of there. Cut. And put that right over here. Just put a little space just for breathing room visually. Put another one over here. Another one over here. Take this guy. Control C. Put that over here. Put that over here. And then this will be log contact. And I do think I do need to change one thing there. So, because we need to use that link function. So if I leave it as it is, it's going to not work. Why? Because it's a hyperlink reference. So it's actually going to try to go find the web page at blog. I need to trick it into doing so. So I don't need an A tag. What I need is the link tag. That was one of the things we brought in with the React router. So link, and then the property is to slash, and then slash link. So that's what we want. So let's copy paste those over. There we go. And okay, so there we go. So basically, let's run through that again. So basically above the buttons in this router area is where the component will render. So I could put that anywhere. So I could maybe render conditional menus or a footer that changes based on the route, whatever. I can, wherever this router is, it's going to pay attention for changes in the address bar and then render components based on them. And what triggers it, and then basically so the router tag defines where the router renders. The routes determine what is rendered based on the URL. And then the link is how we change the URL without necessarily triggering a whole website refresh going to another page. And keep in mind, if you're setting up your backend, if someone types in the URL, so if I type in whatever slash blog, it'll actually go to your backend server and be like, hey, this page doesn't exist because it's only defined in your front end. So generally the solution is you create some sort of like wildcard in your backend, so that way if you type in pretty much any URL, it'll take it to your main application, your index, and just kind of kick in and notice the URL and render appropriately. So keep that in mind. You may want, that's something people may do to break your site. I'll show you an example of what I mean in a second, but let's go make sure this is all working. Let's save it and see if our buttons are working the way we want them to. Let's see here. Looks like it re-rendered. Is it re-rendering? Let's see here. And no, there we go. You should not use link outside a router. Inside a router, so let's examine. Okay, so we have to do a tiny refactoring. We need to bring in one more thing from React Router. We need to bring in switch. Okay. And let's modify this a little bit. We want to wrap the whole thing in the router tag. So cut. And I still want this to render above the buttons, but the tag that defines the rendering area is actually switch. So I need to put switch here and switch here. Okay, so router basically defines the area in which we're using the router. Switch defines the area where it'll be rendered, and then the routes define what's being rendered, and the links actually create the links. Okay, so let's save that, and let's just examine that one more time, take a good look at it, and let's go take a look. Okay, so it's rendering, and notice, hey, look, it looks a little bit different, because now, since we're using, it's treating the text and the buttons as a link, so I'd have to go back and style out the underlines in the text, but let's try clicking on them. And it renders the blog page. Click on contact page. Oh, something went wrong there. So let's take a look. This.props.contact page. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just change that since it's a router. There might be an issue when you're passing down props. So we'll just render the contact page as we originally meant to. Contact page. It just won't have that props. Something to think about. Contact page is not defined. Oh, that's right, because I didn't import it in there. Interesting. Okay, so I guess I have to go import contact page. So let's add that over here. Control C. Save. Oh, yeah, wrong. Gotta fix what I'm importing. Contact page. After a while, you really like reading errors because errors become a lot more informative to you as you learn more. Okay, so basically, one thing I've noticed is you learn more. You don't necessarily make less errors, but you get better at fixing them. There we go. Okay, so if I go to the content, look, see, it picked up on the URL. So instead of taking me back to the main page, it actually takes me straight to the contact page. So let's see what happens if I, now just to show you what may happen if I go in here and type out contact over here and hit enter. Let's see what it does. In this case, it picked up on it perfectly. So now you can use the routes and people can actually type URLs. Depending on the build of your website, that can or may or may not work that way, but this way it did. So people can go directly to the contact page by typing in the URL, and that's one of the benefit of routes versus doing what we did before where we just did the booleans, but you always have to start at the beginning. This kind of avoids that, allows you to go to a particular page but still keep it a single page application. So that's sort of the story with React Router. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this series so far. Do leave a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out my website alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.